All right. Well, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to CalCon 2020 for the Show Me the Money, the ILCE IG Grant Explained. My name is Tammy Sales and I am the moderator for today's presentation. Just a couple of bookkeeping events. If you're going to have questions, if you'll please place the questions in the chat box, I'll moderate those and we will have time for the questions at the end of the presentation. And be sure to visit our vendor hall. Our vendors do a wonderful job of supporting Cal and the Cal conference. And even though we are doing this in a new format this year, we still want to show them our gratitude. So if you get a chance, swing through that as well. It's actually kind of cool, the information that they put in there. So, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nancy.
Okay.
Nancy?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I muted everybody when I muted myself, apparently. So
Okay.
will you start again, please?
Sure. I haven't actually said what I said was, let me find my PowerPoint. And from beginning, and we are going to try and turn on subtitles. There you go. So you can both read and hear what we are saying. So we are the International Library and Cultural Exchange Interest Group of the Colorado Association of Libraries. And we have been in existence for, 8 or 9 years, maybe longer than that. Anyway, our mission is to promote cultural understanding and respect through library programs. And we do that in two primary ways. We give funding for projects that are between Cal members and their libraries and with libraries in other countries. And you're going to hear about 3 of those today, plus how to actually get the money. And then the other thing we do is we fund projects of Colorado libraries that increase cultural understanding and respect in their communities. And actually, you're going to hear about one of those today. So I'm going to introduce the speakers, and then they're going to talk. And at the end, Sue Kiefer is going to tell you about the application process. So our first speaker is going to be Janet Lee. Janet is a returned Peace Corps volunteer in Ethiopia, and she is a founding member of the International Library Cultural Exchange Group, which we started in 2012. She has traveled extensively, but her heart is in her second home of Ethiopia, her country of service in the 1970s, where she was the Peace Corps worker. She has since returned many times to live and work in the fields of library and literacy in Ethiopia. Her most recent 10-month stint was as a Fulbright scholar working in a library development, during which she was awarded, in which she got the grant that she's going to tell you about today. And that grant is called African Storybook Project in Ethiopia. Our second speaker is going to be Karen Klanja. Karen works at the Mesa County Libraries, which she's development director. She has been working there. It's her second career. For 15 years, she worked in juvenile justice. And she says she loves libraries, so applied and started in the circulation department, moved into the head of literacy services, and finally settled in development, position of development director. And she says, talk to me about art. So you may want to ask questions about that. Karen's topic is Mesa County Libraries Culture Fest. And this is an example of a library that promotes cultural understanding and respect within its own community. Our third speaker is Jane Barendett. Jane is the president and treasurer of the Hester Hodgson Libraries for All and the All Foundation, and also the director of the San Juan del Sur Biblioteca in Nicaragua. And she is, she says that she's president of the Hester Hogden Libraries Foundation and the director of the library. And she's also a member of ALA, IRRT, ISLD, which is Sustainable Development, and our own ILCE in Reforma. And she was a Paul Harris Fellow since 2006. So she also received the Rotary Distinction Humanitarian Award. I've worked with Jane, and she is an amazing representative of those groups. And she will be speaking on another grant that we gave, Gracias Omu, Childhood Literacy Workshop in Granada, Nicaragua. And then our final speaker is Sue Kiefer. She's the retired Director of Learning and Resources at Otero Junior College. And Sue says that she retired, she worked there from 2010 to her retirement in 2017. She's the first international librarian, the first international librarian trip she took was in 2015 when she went on our ILCE tour of libraries in Nicaragua. And while she was there, she became a member of our group. And in 2019, she was accepted for Librarians Without Borders annual trip to Guatemala and assisted with programming at the school library in Quetzaltenango. I hope she even pronounced that maybe. So her title of her presentation is Show Me the Money, the ILCE IG Grant Explained. So with that, oh, I have one more. Oh yeah, I want to just remind you to do our presenters go professionally with feedback from attendees. So we want you to evaluate both this program and also the Cal Conference as a whole. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing and let Janet take over.
Okay. I was looking for the captioning. Thank you, Nancy, for the introduction. My presentation today is on the African Storybook Project in Ethiopia. I love flags and always like to start my presentations about Ethiopia with the Ethiopian flag. In 2017, I was awarded a Fulbright scholarship to Aksum University in Aksum, Ethiopia. The script that you can see at the top actually spells out Aksum, Ethiopia in the Amharic script. The photo in the lower right-hand corner is my crew in the library. I chose Ethiopia because I served as a Peace Corps volunteer in the 1970s in Ethiopia. I chose Aksum because of the sister city relationship with Denver and because of the Aksumite Heritage Foundation that was building a new library. Aksum is a tourist town, home of incredible 4th century stelae, the Queen of Sheba Palace, and home of the Ark of the Covenant at St. Mary of Zion Church. Through a couple of Facebook posts with a current Peace Corps volunteer, I became familiar with the African Storybook Project and successfully applied for a grant from the International Library Cultural Exchange. There are over 200 languages in the African Storybook Project, nearly 5,000 storybooks that have been translated for a total of almost 8,000 titles. Ethiopia has 80 languages and dialects, and 3 are represented in this collection. Amharic, Afon Oromo, and Tigrinya. The African Storybook follows a Creative Commons license, so it's possible to translate any story into any African language with attribution. Books can be read online, but since many areas of the country do not have access to the internet, books can be downloaded and read on a device. If printing is available, stories can be printed in landscape format as a PDF or printed vertically as a storybook. Again, through Facebook, I was introduced to Mesamir Girma, the owner librarian of the Ras Abebe Aragai Library. It's a fee-based lending library. Children can rent a book for an Ethiopian birr for a short period of time. An Ethiopian birr is about 4 US cents. The fees paid by these students become the salary of the library assistants. It is a model that works really well for this operation. Books, though, can be read on site for free. Mesamir and I conducted 3 different workshops in Debre Berhan and in Adama. The workshops included storytelling and also first language or mother tongue publications. And we also had writing sessions. Under the current government, children are taught in their local language, depending on their region. At about 3rd grade, the language acquisition is in Amharic, the governmental language, and English is introduced. Starting about 7th grade and through college, English is the language of instruction. Studies have shown that a good foundation in the first language leads to a successful acquisition of other languages. But there are not many, if any, really attractive books in local languages for children. My assignment for this project was to write a story about a female Bajaj driver. A Bajaj is a 3-wheeled mini taxi that is the mainstay of the local traffic. The drivers are almost exclusively male. This photo, and you can see the blue and white Bajaj in the forefront, is taken from the library, which faces the main road that leads into Debre Berhan. The Debre Berhan actually has 1 or 2 female Bajaj drivers. During the workshop, we broke up into working groups and worked on the assignment and on other stories. Later, Mesamir and I worked individually and in groups with the authors and revising their stories. The stories were read and a vote was taken. The winning story was about a girl who begged her parents to help her buy a Bajaj, an occupation, like I said, not typically held by girls. She ran a very successful business and in gratitude offered free rides to the hospital to women who were about to give birth. So what did the grant provide? It provided notebooks, pens, thumb drives, and as mentioned before, the stories could be printed or read on a device or online. Since most of the schools do not have internet and since printing is very expensive, we downloaded the stories to a thumb drive and gave to each participant on the off chance that they may have access to a computer. The grant also provided for tea breaks, lunch, and a participant per diem, which was about $1 US per day. Workshops are typically provided to the participants for free. Since I'm a firm believer in buying publishing locally, we enlisted a local artist as the illustrator, and this was paid for by the grant. Ethiopia is a cash-based society and receipts are somewhat difficult to come by. This photo was Mesimir's proof that the illustrator had been paid. So in closing, these are some of the books that were published out of the workshop. There were probably 6 or 8 books per workshop that we were able to publish online. So now I would like to welcome Karen, who received a grant for her work in Grand Junction. Oh.
Good afternoon. There we go. My name is Karen Klonja, and I am Development Director for Mesa County Libraries in Grand Junction, Colorado. Oh, ask you to start your, oh, okay. Sorry. I'll start over. I'm Karen Klonja, I'm Development Director for Mesa County Libraries in Grand Junction, Colorado. 2019 Culture Fest was our 11th annual event. This is the poster for the 2019 event, which features flowers from throughout the world. We do a new poster every year, and I have them all throughout everywhere over here. Culture Fest is Mesa County Library's annual signature event that celebrates cultural awareness and diversity. It uses many art forms, visual, performance, culinary, and musical as a stimulus for creating cultural awareness. Residents of Mesa County, originally from countries throughout the world, participate. The majority are students in the Adult Learning Center. And our Adult Learning Center offers education programs for adults at no charge. One-on-one or small group instruction is offered for adults looking to improve reading, writing, math, and study skills. Help is also available to get a high school diploma, a GED, complete the U.S. citizenship exam, and learn English as a second language. On the first Saturday in November, tables are set up throughout the Central Library and display information, traditional art, musical information, and food is supplied. Many participants dress in their native attire. This is the Ukraine on the right and China. Culture Fest's impact is far-reaching, as it is the only multicultural event in Mesa County, allowing one to travel the world at the Central Library. Megan Bissonette is an assistant professor of art history and the art gallery director of the Colorado Mesa University. She served as our 2019 juror. We select a new juror every year. 30 works of art by 22 local artists were selected for the exhibition. 3 received honoraria and 2 were recognized as honorable mention. We get support from our local Friends group and from the Grand Junction Commission on Arts and Culture to provide honoraria for both our performance artists and our visual artists. Culture Fest traditionally kicks off on Friday evening as a part of Grand Junction's First Friday. And that's a monthly event featuring new exhibits at our local art center and downtown galleries. A reception honoring the participants takes place in the Central Library's community rooms. Music is provided along with appetizers and tastings of the library's signature wines, Grape Gatsby and Well Red. Entertainment is provided on Saturday in the community rooms between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. The first Culture Fest took place in 2008. We had individuals from 8 different countries and 750 attendees. This event has just grown exponentially. We now average approximately 2,500 attendees, and anywhere from 17 to 21 countries are represented. In 2019, we became aware of the ILCE grant in support of cultural programming. We requested and received funding of $1,500, which was amazing. We used our funding for marketing and publicity, as well as event supplies. Event supplies were paper products, balloons, decor. The grant application was easy to prepare and submit. The evaluation methods that we used were a number of attendees and an exit survey. Our responses were overwhelmingly positive. Usually we have one complaint, that it's too noisy in the library. We are very grateful for the support of the International Grant Committee and the Cal Board. And thank you for the opportunity to allow me to share a Culture Fest. And now I would like to introduce Jane Marendet, who's speaking about her work in Nicaragua. Thank you.
Jane, you're going to have to turn on your camera. I turned it off.
There we are. And we will present. Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. It was an honor to receive the ILCE grant that made this workshop possible. Our Libraries for All program has a long-standing relationship with the Nicaraguan Library Association, and it's been a few years since we've been able to collaborate on a literacy workshop due to the political unrest and poor economic situation. So this was an encouragement to many of the educators who came to our presentation. There were 9 speakers and activity coordinators, both from Nicaragua and the US. There were over 70 attendees. Part of the way we used our funds was to subsidize the luncheon and provide a very lovely meal, a $15 meal with refrescos, drinks, for $5 a person. And there were several, of course, who were also our guests. So if participants could not provide the lunch money, we provided for them. The activities were based around the Jumpstart Read for the Record OMU, Gracias OMU, and Be Internet Aware, Internet Awesome campaign. As you can see, there were several activities, and we have on the side one of the programs. This one was in English. The programs and actually everything we provide is in both English and in Spanish. The president of ANIBIPA this year is Gustavo Cruz, and he spoke about the struggles and successes they've had mitigating their physical data in Nicaragua. Janet Lee, whom is also on this program, provided Be Internet Awesome. The interesting thing about using Internet Awesome, it seemed really important to us, mostly because people do not have their own internet, but there are internet cafes, church and service program settings have been providing this, and people are not aware how to stay safe. Several of us from our program were at ALA last June in DC, and we found the Google booth. This is a really excellent program. I don't know if you can see my picture, but there is a book that they provide. There are 5 characters representing being smart, alert, strong, kind, and brave. It's an excellent program, and there is a link to it on our final page here. You can find it online just by clicking Be Internet Awesome. Barb Thorne, who was originally here in Colorado and is now living in Maryland and was a member of this group. She presented a bilingual PowerPoint demonstrating how to use books. There is very little resources to teachers and little or no seminars suggesting the use of books and activities to further childhood education. The original PowerPoint that Barb is presenting was created by Denver Library School MLS grad Kate Davis, and with her permission, it has been enlarged to show activities with various Read for the Record annual selections. This is a sample slide, and several books are used in the PowerPoint, all of them to take a teacher or a librarian through the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, in art, mathematics, science, writing, and music. It's been well used by our program, and it is a resource on the Libraries for All website. OMU this year was the Read for the Record book. Our library program has used for at least 10 years, whatever the Read for the Record book is, calling it Read for the Record Nicaragua, and we read the book throughout the year, throughout all of the libraries, the mobile project that we present for 35 schools, and also over 50 grassroots programs that provide books to borrow. The Nicaraguan system does not allow books to borrow, and they don't spend much time or money on activities. Edwin Vasquez is one of our library workers. He's the administrator of most things for HJH, Libraries for All program, and he read Gracias Amu aloud while the group read along. Copies of this book was distributed to each person or group to bring back to their libraries as part of the program. That's part of what we used our funding for. Books are precious in Nicaragua. They are not readily available, and they are very, very expensive when they are available. So this was a great gifting. The activities, it's interesting. This one is, if you're thankful and you know it, clap your hands, which is part of the AMU book. What to me is most interesting here is the enthusiasm of the participants. Very few educational events are made to be fun, and they're all serious and dry mandatory activities. So we've often felt allowing the teachers and librarians to have fun helps them understand the value of the activities that they can provide for their students. Again, here is a very enthusiastic group. Some of you may not know the AMU book, and the AMU story is an elderly lady who lives alone, and she makes a soup, a fragrant and delicious soup. And out her window goes the wonderful smells, and all of the local tradesmen, police, taxi driver, dancers, even a young boy, knock on her door for a bite, and she shares with all. When she goes to have her own dinner in the evening, there is no more soup. And she's feeling sad when she hears another knock on her door, and it's all the local tradespeople bringing her a thank you note and a grand feast. It's a lovely story about community sharing. Lunch was provided for all the attendees at the reduced course, and it proved to be an excellent time for networking and sharing. There were several groups of Nicaraguan teachers, librarians, actually university professors who attended this event, along with some European and American people who have programs, have projects. The setting here is Hotel Con Corazon, which is a European hotel in little mini hotel in Granada, and they are a nonprofit hotel that also has a lot of educational programming, and you can see by the mural there in the back. The space was given to us free, and we paid for the lunch and some electrical costs for some very limited air conditioning, as well as providing the books that we bought. Internet safety activity was really fun. We had given every other participant a toothbrush. And at one point after lunch, we asked the people who had toothbrushes to brush their teeth. And everyone visibly and physically brush their teeth. And then we said, okay, now hand it over to your next neighbor to brush their teeth. And of course, there was an uproar and no one wanted to share in that way. And it's a very dramatic way to show that sharing on the internet should be taken with the same caution as handing off your dirty toothbrush. 3D printers and innovation. Nubia Manzaneras is a friend and a librarian from the U.S. Embassy's American Corners Library. They've been established in Managua for many years, and she presented on their 3D printing operation, and the class is available at their library. There, as far as I know, for public attendance, there are only their library with one 3D printer and the program that we have begun in San Juan del Sur. The program in San Juan del Sur was provided by University of Maryland librarians Lily Greiner in the bright shirt and Patricia Heddern, who are both librarians at University of Maryland. The fellow is Preston Tobury, and he is their major 3D printing guru and teacher of all things 3D. The three of them provided for our library in San Juan del Sur an amazing gift. 2 3D printers, all of the material needed to initiate a business out of the library, to make funds for our nonprofit library. And it was, by nonprofit, I mean we are only based in donations and when we have groups come. So having a little business to provide things that the community needs and also to be able to provide training for students was what they came to do. Many of the librarians that came to this, American librarians that came to this presentation were also part of our 18th anniversary and a week-long 3D printer program. The afternoon we had activities. It was supposed to be book repair and crafts. You chose one or the other. Instead, everyone wanted to do them all. So we stretched it out, had 2 sessions of each, and activities. There were several activities and crafts that people created. And also Heidi Herrera, who is our director at the library, one of the directors at the library, taught book repair. The man standing by her is a professor of one of the universities in Managua. Both programs were very, very well received. We end our program always with a raffle. It's a free raffle and people bring things to raffle, and we also provide things from our library program. We ended with gratitude. Gracias Amu, one of the activities that are suggested in that book is to write little gratitude cards and put them around your neighborhood, or draw a picture of your neighborhood and put them, whether you're thankful for your library or your doctor or whatever. And participants were very excited about it, and everyone took pictures of this model after it was created, after it was finished. Thank you very much. You may reach our website with the resources on it, www.librariesforall.org, and the presentation to use the books is under resources. The Google one, we couldn't find the slideshow, but this is the Google's own presentation, which is very elaborate. Thank you again. And I am very honored to introduce Sue Keever, who will show you all how to apply for your own grant.
You have to turn on your camera. I had turned it off. Sue, you're muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Those are really interesting. I hope that gives some other people some ideas. And we're hoping that some of those ideas gave you some ideas that you might want to try to apply for one of our grants. I was particularly interested in Janet's talk about the bajag, because in Guatemala we had something called a tuk-tuk, which is basically the same thing. So if you're inspired now, you're right at the right workshop, because the goals of our grant are that we support individual and library partnerships and activities that enhance cultural understanding.
Sue, you're not sharing. Did you mean to share your screen?
Oh, no, yes. Sorry. I am so sorry.
It's all right, you're just starting with it.
Okay. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. I've got stuff up here that I don't know what it is. There. Okay. We've been, since 2016, the International Library and Cultural Exchange Interest Group has awarded small grants that have helped fund projects such as wait a minute.
There you go.
Okay. I can't seem to move it.
Sue, in the blue, down in the bottom left-hand corner, you should see those circles. And it's probably just doing a little drag time.
I'm not seeing anything. I'm just seeing my thing.
Okay. It looks like it's
It looks like it's working. You might just hit the down key.
What?
You might just try hitting the down key and see if that works.
I don't. We'll consider grant applications for individuals in all types of libraries that are current members of the Colorado Association of Libraries. You need to have proof of current membership in CAL. It's absolutely required, so you need to make sure you do that. We offer a limited number of grants depending on the funds available to individuals and libraries proposing projects that represent either collaborations between a library in Colorado and one in another country designed to increase cultural awareness, understanding, and exchange, or a Colorado library event designed to celebrate ethnic and immigrant cultures, like you saw from Mesa County, a Colorado individual's efforts to establish or help maintain a library in a country with underdeveloped libraries, like Janet and Jane showed you. Grant awards have been offered for up to $1,500 per grant. Amounts do vary depending on the funds available. We prefer but do not require that one grant is made to support international librarianship and one is to support cultural understanding among different groups in a library service area. Examples of the projects that will be considered, but they're not limited to, so use your imagination: training or workshops for library staff in other countries, limited materials purchased and shipped to support training or a specific library project, supplies and printing of materials in support of a training program or a specific project, book discussions between users of U.S. and international libraries, events at Colorado libraries that celebrate and enhance cultural understanding, joint programs or training between Colorado and international libraries, e-clubs that promote communication between users of Colorado and international libraries. We will not consider requests for book purchases and shipping costs that would be used to establish a library, international travel expenses, general office supplies, religious organizations that do not serve the general public on a non-denominational basis, or ESL or citizenship classes. Watch for grant announcements for 2021. At that time, we will announce the amount available. Applications will be accepted online or by mail at the address shown on the application form. Upon receipt of the application, an international grant committee composed of CAL members, other than the ILCEIG steering committee and with no connection to any applicant, will review the applications to determine whether the applicant and the project are within the program's guidelines. Those that are not within the guidelines will be declined. Grants will be considered based on the extent to which they meet one or more of these criteria. Promote cultural understanding between the U.S. and other cultures, assist in the cooperative development of libraries in other countries, train librarians in other countries, or promote collaboration and communication between library staff in the U.S. and other countries. In addition, the applicant must articulate a project design that describes how the project will be accomplished, indicate how the success of the project will be measured, proof of current CAL membership, include a budget and budget narrative that describes the amount of money needed and what it will be used for in relation to the project. Grantees will be asked to send a report of the completed project, including the degree to which the project met its goals, any problems that occurred and how they were addressed, photos and quotes from project participants about the project. Applicants may be contacted for additional information. The review process, grants are reviewed by the International Grant Committee, which are members of CAL. They're not members of the steering committee, and they have no connection to the grant applicants. The International Grant Committee will make recommendations to the CAL board, who will make the final decision on proposals at the regular meeting. Remember, applicants must be a current CAL member to be considered. Please allow at least 4 weeks after you submit your completed application to receive a response. This is just an example of the application that you would fill in. You need to limit your description of the project to 3 pages, include background information for the project, including why this project is important within the context of your school or library district, a summary of your proposal highlighting the purpose, goals, and expected impact of your project, including the number of library users you will reach, local cooperating agencies or libraries in both countries if it's an international project, expected measurable outcomes on the library and library users, and the method you will use to evaluate the project, and the implementation timeline. And then for the budget justification, in addition to the 3-page narrative, the budget justification should explain the budget, why you wish to spend the grant money in the way indicated, and how you arrived at the total. Please read the list of items that are not eligible for funding in the grant guidelines. Additional consideration will be given to proposals that include the following elements: cost sharing to increase projects' impact, using the ILCEIG funds to leverage additional donation, and letters of support. And now we're here for ideas. And I've totally lost
Okay, we have some questions in the chat room. And so I guess all of you can turn on your cameras, and we'll look at what some of the questions are.
Okay, ladies, nice job. All right, so the first question is for Janet. Is there a link to where people could see these books in case they have members of the ethnic groups in their community?
Yeah, that was on one of the slides, but I will read it to you. And it's simply africanstorybook.org.
Yeah.
And it's possible, since there are what did I say, 200 or so different languages. It's possible to key in that particular, the language, and then all of the books from that language will appear.
And that was africanstorybook.org.
Correct.
Okay, let me put that in the chat so it'll be in there. Thank you. All right, and then the next question I believe is for Karen. Can you tell us what the cost to do the festival was in addition to the grant that ILCE gave you?
Yes, thank you. The budget was $8,850.
Oh.
We spent $3,000 for artistic salaries and honoraria for, and that was both for visual artists and performance artists. We had spent $2,000 on event supplies, $1,000 on food and art, food for the art reception and on Saturday. We help the people that are providing the taste of their food to pay for their food. They get a little stipend because that's a lot to ask for people. We also paid $1,850 for marketing and publicity, and then also $1,000 for t-shirts for staff and volunteers.
Excellent. Thank you. Was it difficult to recruit groups to participate?
The performance groups, we put out a call for artists and a call for performers, usually mid-August. And some of these performers have performed every year because we just have to have them come back. They are the 9 Province Kung Fu, for example, are amazing and a great hit. The Danza Azteca group is phenomenal. So that's what we do.
Excellent. Jane, will you be doing, a question for you, will you be doing another trip to Nicaragua anytime soon?
We will definitely be doing another trip. The anytime soon really depends on COVID. And the interesting thing right now is since late mid-April, there are no flights in or out of the country, and the borders have been closed side of us, although the Nicaraguan government has not closed the Nicaraguan borders. So we are hoping very much to be able to go back in November for the anniversary, and would hope again to do a small workshop. And we actually have been able to get some free books through First Books book bank only for the price of the shipping. So we have activities that we could bring for another workshop, and we're hoping to go in November, if not maybe January.
Great. Thanks, Jane. And then this question is for Sue. How many grants do you typically give each year?
We've been giving 2. I think the last time, I think we did give 3. I think we broke one up for two other participants, but generally we give 2. I think that's right. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, Bob, I'm unmuted. Go, please, shut the door.
And then also, would a Zoom webinar to librarians in another country be appropriate?
I think it would. What do others think?
I have done them with our Nicaraguan team. We have a meeting every week or every other week with the advisory board of the library HJH program, and also the San Juan Biblioteca group. And we have done very similar things as this. It's very easy, and it's also very impactful. I think you would need to know if you have resources in that country for internet. And we've been able to give laptops to our main staff in their homes because everyone is still doing this for COVID. So yes, it's very possible.
Excellent. Are there any other questions? before we go? All right. Well, just a reminder to any of the participants, if you will go um, in the actual conference application and go to the session and click on session feedback and offer some feedback, that would be wonderful. And thank you for participating. And I'm sure the slides will be available later on after the conference has ended. So thank you, ladies, very much. It was a pleasure watching your presentation today, and nice job and staying on time. So have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.